Hello, and welcome to the Comic Book Club. I am your host, Jamill Payne, and with me, as always, my co-host, Amanda Comey.
Ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year. Woo!
That didn't sound convincing at all.
Well, it's over. It's over. We're on to business and comic books and movies and the future. Ever forward.
I still want my flying car. I was promised a flying car in 2015. I have yet to get it.
We got some cool stuff anyways, though, right?
Well, if you look at movies, right? If you look at movies from the 80s and like 70s, right?
Which we do constantly, right?
Well, actually. But no, what you realize is filmmakers betted on the wrong horse. They betted on energy instead of communication. Like, if you look at all those movies with the flying cars and stuff, where like nothing seems like it needs gas or there's ever really a problem. And the reason is because they betted on energy. They thought energy was going to be like
energy was the big improvement from last century, so they thought it would just be more of the same. But I think that's a really great way to describe what they got wrong. Energy versus communication. Yeah. I like that. I'm gonna put it on a T-shirt.
I mean, cause like and it's like the thing, right? Well, like I've always been interested in like this idea of like civilizations being advanced in one way and not another. Like if you look at Star Wars, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Energy, space travel is great, but communication is terrible.
Yeah.
And like, because they put all their skill points into this one thing instead of this other.
That's also a really good analogy.
Yeah. So, Amanda, how was your holidays?
It was pretty normal. We didn't travel. We just had a few really big meals with some people we were related to and some people we weren't. I got to sleep in a lot, which is great. Got to catch up on some movies. Got to go to work and sit in my cubicle with no one else around to check on whether I was doing work or not and still get paid. I think it was ideal. What was your dream vacation like?
I had almost 2 weeks off. Then like the 3 days I did work, there was nobody there because where I worked at was basically closed, so I was just there by myself.
Oh, isn't that the best?
It is. Even though, you want all that time off, but what you find is, like, after about day 3, you kind of driving yourself up the wall. Cause like, I just found myself laying in bed looking at my phone for like 12 hours out the day. And then when I go pick up my son, then my wife gets home. Usually I'm asleep or about to go to sleep because I have to work at night. And she's like, so what you do today? And I look back at my whole day after like 15 hours, I just be like, nothing. And I was starting to have like an existential crisis. So when my boss said, do you want to work a few days? You don't have to. I know you're like, no, please, I'll work. I need to get out this house.
That's, I can relate to that a lot. My husband works from home, and I don't know if I could quite get myself to be productive if I was home all the time.
Oh, God, no.
I need to get out and pretend that somebody is watching what I'm doing every now and then.
Look, it got so bad. I was really thinking about, like, hitting you up, harassing you, like, hey, you want to do some shows? We got nothing planned, but let's do something. I know, let me stop. Let's take a break. Well, I was really contemplating, like, like Sunday came and I had nothing to look forward to.
Okay, well, but don't sell yourself short. You did, we both saw some movies. We both read some comic books. You were going to tell me about watching Dragon Ball Super.
Yep, I went to Disney World. Just a lot. So much. So, like, look, I fit a lot of stuff into like a week in that week and a half. But Disney World was great. It's the same as always. It's wonderful. It's great. Happiest place on earth. My sister-in-law boyfriend proposed to her.
Wow.
Yep. I made sure that happened and nobody knew. I had to tell my wife 2 minutes before it happened because she was tripping. Disney has photographers, right? At certain like hot points in the park for the best view. So I was like, okay, we have to take a picture at this point because I've been like 24 times, so I know what photographer to use for the best picture for him to for her boyfriend to propose because he told me in advance. But everybody was ready to get on rides and stuff, so everybody was yelling. So I had to become an asshole and be like, no, we're going to stay here. We're going to take this picture. We're going to wait in this line. But if the line is long for the picture, I don't care. And my wife started to argue with me, so eventually I had to pull her into a store like, look, Garrick is about to propose to Stephanie. And she was like, oh, my God, I didn't know. I need you to go out there and act normal. You hear me? I need you to act normal. Don't go out there acting weird. And sure enough, she acted weird, but her sister didn't catch on. But
wow. This is like romantic comedy level drama.
Oh, it was, because like all of a sudden I turned into a jerk, and I was happy up until that point, you know.
Did you when you pulled her into the store, were you like, no wait, let me explain, and then she started to walk away?
Actually, yeah. Because she wanted something in the store. I'm like, come here. Say, well, let me show. Well, we're going to come in the store. Let me show you. Like, no, I can't. No, you can't show me what you want in the store. We'll see that afterwards. So why are you acting like this? Because Stephanie's about to get proposed to by Garrett. And she was just like, oh, God. And, like, the whole mood changed. Then, like, her brother and his girlfriend, I had to like, it was like herding cats to make sure everybody was there for this moment.
Well, congratulations to, I guess, Stephanie and Gary.
Garrick.
Yeah. Garrick. Okay.
But yeah, we saw some movies.
Yeah.
We seen Aquaman. So, Amanda, what did you think of Aquaman?
I thought it was really, really fun to watch. I loved how bright and colorful and like completely unashamed it was of being an Aquaman movie. I think I liked the comic book better. I think the Jeff Johns run that you had us read, I think it was a little bit more dramatic and made a little bit more sense, but the movie was very, very cool. And I really loved the casting, and I loved that we got a lot of Mira, and we got a lot of Mira wearing, like, you know, cool dresses and different outfits and stuff. That's important.
That jellyfish dress was gorgeous.
Yeah. So, no, it was a lot of fun. I went to, when I went, the theater was almost completely sold out, and I was grateful that I was going alone because I could get a great seat right in the middle in between all of like the groups of 4 or 5 people where everybody, you know, everybody's like, oh, we're going to not sit right next to each other, and they leave like one spot. So I was able to sit right in the middle, and I was sitting around all these people, and I could hear them talking to their friends during the movie, and everyone was just like, oh, wow, that's so cool. And there was a 50-year-old woman next to me who, she just would not shut up. She's like, oh, it's so pretty. Oh, it's so beautiful. And I was like, have you not been to a movie in 10 years? I'm like, you shut up. But,
you know what, though? I think you selling this movie short. I think this movie, honestly, might be one of the prettiest movies I've ever seen. Like,
well, I specifically was like, wow, like, do you not remember Avatar? That was kind of the feeling I got, was I was like, well, no one's ever going to go back and watch Avatar. They can just watch Aquaman.
I mean, because Avatar kind of sucks. Now, let me stop. It doesn't suck. It doesn't. But if I had to choose between this and Avatar, I think I'll choose this. But no, you're right. It does remind me a lot of Avatar. But I think this might be a little bit better. I mean, this might actually look a little bit better than Avatar, which is a crazy thing to say. And I think just because of the newness of it, you know, once you see a guy ride down on a giant seahorse to talk to a guy on a battle shark,
yeah,
it's kind of hard to beat. like it's ridiculous, but it's ridiculous in the best way.
Yeah. I think my one, now that I've had a moment to remember, specifically what I thought that the comic book did better than the movie was portray the trench as more of a horror element. And I remember that in the comic specifically, Aquaman was like, the fish here are so afraid of the trench that I can't control them anymore. And like all the birds fly away and like all of the fish swim away and like everything is scared of them at a level that like transcends logic. And in the movie, they made the trench just sort of like, you know,
Mindless monsters.
Mindless monsters, but also just like the sunken kingdom that was like ugly and rude. They weren't, not only were they not quite the horror or abomination that they were in the comic, but I think at the very end, Aquaman was actually able to control them.
Yeah.
And that specifically, like that level of control was like, I was like, ooh, that's like the one thing I loved from the comics was it was like Aquaman is the master of the sea, except for the trench.
Well, if you remember from the comic, once he got like the actual like trident, he could control them.
Okay.
So you remember because he sent them all back in the sea at the end of Battle of Atlantis. He sends them all back to the sea because he had the special magical trident, and they did the exact same thing in the movie. See, for me, it was really effective. It was because like they was terrible. Like it's the Captain America theory, right? Mm-hmm. As in like, you know, I think we talked about this. Like, you know, you read a comic book with Captain America and you see him throwing that shit off people's heads, right?
Yeah.
And like it's one thing to read it, but it's one thing to see him do it in live action to realize that, oh, if you got hit with that, you're breaking people's necks, you are murdering them.
Yeah.
The trench wasn't that scary to me in the book. We had the exact opposite. In the movie though, they are fucking terrifying. I was like, this is some nightmare fuel type shit right here. Especially when they first get revealed, was like there's nothing there.
Yeah.
And she turns back around and it's just like, and it's there just screaming in her face.
Yeah.
I really, really like this movie. I seen someone be hard on it, and I was like, that's bullshit, because this is just as good as any mid-tier MCU movie. Mm-hmm. You know, this is just as good as like a fucking Ant-Man or I don't know, a Thor. No, I take that back. It's better than most Thor movies.
I was gonna say it reminds me. So I think Thor Ragnarok was better than this, but this reminds me, and it's like I said, it's not ashamed of being a comic book movie. And Ragnarok, I feel like, was one of the first MCU movies where there wasn't a little bit of like condescension at the source material. Like just fully embracing, yes, battle sharks. Well, yes. Like we're going to do like, yes, he's going to wear the colorful costume. Like, yes, we're going to do all of this stuff. Yes. When he shows up for the first time, we're going to get the like pan up the back shot with like hair over the shoulder and like the wink, you know, like we're just going to go all cheese. And I appreciate when they're not embarrassed of the source material.
Yeah. So what did you think of Jason Momoa?
Oh, I thought he was great. He looked like he was having so much fun.
My nephew, who's also read the Aquaman book, Aquaman, you know, his biggest problem going in was Jason Momoa, right? Really? Because he was just like, well, this is not the Aquaman from the comic. I was like, true, but and he brought up Ryan Reynolds, how Ryan Reynolds was kind of miscast as Hal Jordan. I was like, that's true, but the difference being is, for Green Lantern, they didn't write the Ryan Reynolds strengths. They tried to fit Ryan Reynolds into a mold instead of writing to Ryan Reynolds' strengths. They totally wrote Aquaman to fit Jason Momoa. So it may not be the Aquaman from the comic, but it works really well in this movie because they wrote to Jason Momoa's strengths. Yeah. Which is take his shirt off and make him wet. That's his strength.
You're not lying.
Look, I'm gonna get this joke out the way now. As I like to say, Jason Momoa was the only thing wet in that movie theater that I was in, because there's a lot of oohs and ahs from women.
Was this the third Magic Mike movie?
Yeah, kind of.
Magic Mike 3, Ocean to Ocean.
Yeah, it's just like, oh man, I was just like, whew. Good luck with the ushers. They gotta clean up this floor. Oh man.
Well, and they even went in. They did a lot of, I want to say, like, joke shots of Jason Momoa the way they would have if he was like a female star.
They did, yeah.
Like, I'm gonna go back to, again, like the shot where you first see him in the movie and he drops through the manhole cover and it like pans up and it's like over his shoulder and then he like flips the hair. Or there's another really similar one where he like walks through the waterfall in the green and gold costume for the first time. And it's like, this is how they would shoot Black Widow. Yeah. This is how I was expecting them to shoot Mera the whole time, and they didn't. They were like, you were here to see the shirtless man? We're going to put the shirtless man up on the screen being shirtless. And they just kind of, like, indulged in that, and I feel like it really worked.
What did you think of the villains? This is what I really want to talk to you about.
So first of all, I was surprised at the casting. I don't think I paid too much attention to the trailers and the promotional material. Was that William Dafoe as Volko?
It was William Dafoe.
I thought he did a great job. Except I normally like seeing him go a little bit crazier. Like, I always remember him as Green Goblin.
Well, any movie really, like.
Yeah. So I thought it was a surprisingly, like, restrained villain role for him.
But he's not a villain. That's the thing. They switched it up. I was just expecting him to be the villain, like he was in the comic, and they don't do it. They don't pull that trigger.
Well, he wasn't a bad guy. But Ocean Master, I liked that guy. I feel like that was a great take.
I was. At first, I was a little upset, right? Because we talked about how much I like Orm from the comic, and Orm from the comic is a little more complicated. Like, he's not like actually like up and up evil per se. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like, oh, they're not gonna do that, but then they kind of do it at the end.
Yeah.
Like, I like, oh, they're not gonna. Okay, he's just gonna be straight up evil. Okay, well, maybe not. Because at the end, they kind of like leave on like this weird note at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Aquaman's like, when you're ready to talk, come see me.
Yeah. I also got a very I want to say I got like a very country club vibe from that, from his portrayal of Ocean Master. Just like he's kind of snooty and just like angry that people are making his yard dirty.
Oh, definitely.
And I feel like that played really, really well against sort of like everyone else being like, okay, but we're not talking about your yard. We're talking about the entire world. And like, you can't be like, you can't just, burn down the entire world and start over because somebody messed up your garden. I know that's not exactly that's not exactly what the conflict was, but I got a very like pretentious, condescending, like disconnected vibe from that Orm portrayal that I really liked, because everyone else was sort of surprisingly a realistic character compared to him. For a comic book movie. And
look, his Ocean Master costume is amazing looking. Yeah. I was like, oh, they pulled that off. I don't know how. Like, they pulled that and the Aquaman suit off really well. This is the one thing that I think they actually one up Marvel on. Because, like, the MCU, like, their costumes are very close to the comic. but it still has like that real world feel to it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They didn't do that. They went straight full on like fantasy comic booky,
Mm-hmm.
and like it looks pretty good. Like you can actually like it goes to show that you can do these costumes and they won't look ridiculous. And I think they should do more of that because that Ocean Master and that Aquaman outfit looks really good. Let me see. Black Manta.
I wanted more of him in the movie.
I did too. I feel like they could have saved him for a second movie, but I kind of understand why they did what they did, just in case they don't get a second movie.
Yeah.
So we need to throw in Black Manta. And like, you know, with him, what I liked about it was they kept that conflict of, you know, Aquaman kind of created his own arch enemy.
Yeah.
Which they did in the comic also. Like, yeah, I'm kind of wrong. That's why he's kind of after me. It's kind of my fault his dad died.
Yeah.
Even though his dad was a murderer, but, you know, whatever.
Yeah. No, I think I was surprised that they showed that they made such a big deal about that in the, like, opening of the movie, and then, like, kind of just threw Black Manta away halfway through the movie.
The movie couldn't sustain him and Orm at the same time. That's my
right.
But like it felt like they wanted to get him in just in case there wasn't a second movie.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like. And you know what? His suit looks amazing. When I see him like for the first time like fly up, the only feeling I could describe, and this is as close as I could get to it, is like seeing the Ninja Turtles the first time in 1990 in live action. As in, like, I know it's real, but it doesn't feel real. Like, I can't believe I'm watching it. Like, cause like, that suit is it's so out there, right? There's an out there ass suit. And to actually see it translate to live action and for it to actually look good and move well, that was like a moment for me. Like, whoa, like they pulled that off. Like, you know, if somebody else was making this, you know, the helmet wouldn't have been as much. They wouldn't have called him Manta or anything. You know, it wouldn't have been that. But no, they gave him. He almost looked like a Power Ranger villain. That's what he almost looked like.
Well, that is the highest compliment possible, right?
That he always like a Power Ranger villain. Yes. But I guess like Nicole Kidman. Nicole Kidman playing somebody's mama. Somebody need to be shot for Nicole Kidman playing somebody's mama. Nicole Kidman is still hot. Nicole Kidman could have played Mira, and I would have been completely okay. Like they gave like some gray hair. I'm like, nope. She still looks about 35. I don't know what to tell you. She don't look like she can be Jason Momoa's mama. Like,
well, but see, that makes it so much like. Then you don't have to explain how his father fell in love with her immediately. And then also her being so, like her having, it's perfect. But I was also going to say it also reminds us that, like, the Atlanteans are longer lived, right?
I think.
So I definitely got the impression that, like, her still looking essentially the same after 30 years, you know, was consistent with like the magic of being an ocean princess. Real quick, because I just said 30 years. It actually wasn't 30 years. Did you notice that the first title card for this movie was after we were both born?
Yes.
I just want to throw it out there that I'm not comfortable being older than Aquaman.
At this point, we're older than Bruce Wayne. At this point.
Oof. Okay. All right. Well, so it sounds like we both enjoyed almost every moment of Aquaman, except for the part where we were made to feel ancient.
Hold on. One more thing. They got Dr. Shin in there at the end. He's going to be.
They did. That was great.
Okay, go ahead.
That was a great little Easter egg, Dr. Shin.
Did you stay for the after credit scene, right?
I did.
Okay, yeah. Okay, now what were you saying? I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was just gonna say that we could switch from a superhero movie which was marketed towards all ages to the Marvel movie that came out this month, if you wanted.
Oh
Where
yeah.
I think it's going to be interesting to talk about Spiderverse in comparison to Aquaman, because you were just talking about how impressive it was to see all of this stuff done in live action.
Right.
Was there anything else you wanted to add about Aquaman besides just how cool it looked and how much fun it was?
This is what the DCEU should have been from the get-go. That's it.
A little late for that now, but okay.
Yeah, no, I know, but I'm just saying, like, this is what happens. Like, look, okay, give me 2 minutes.
You're on the clock. 2 minutes.
Okay, Marvel. If there's one criticism you can lay at the MCU is that all their movies look the same and that's on purpose because they want everything to feel cohesive, right?
Mm-hmm.
DC thing was they wanted they gave it to different directors to give it different looks because they wanted they didn't want to pigeonhole their directors, but at the same time they also had like a mandate where it should be like kind of dark and gritty like Zack Snyder. But
yeah.
But Wonder Woman is good, Aquaman is good, and they both look completely different, but they're in the same universe. This is what Warner Bros. Was going for originally before they got stuck with this whole Zack Snyder thing. And like this should show Marvel that if you just let go of the reins a little bit and let directors do what they want, you can still have wildly different movies but still have it fit into the same universe.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it. That's all I want to say.
That was only 1 minute.
Oh, thank you. All right, so into the Spiderverse. Yeah, it was good. I don't know what else to say.
Well,
it was great actually, but that's. Go ahead.
So I was going to say, I love that we're talking about both of these at the same time because Spider-Verse was completely animated.
Right.
And because it was animated, they were able to get like super abstract in the third act in a way that would have been distracting if it was live action.
Yes.
And so I think we just talked about how most of the strength of Aquaman was like the enjoyment and the astonishment of seeing these things and like the drama of seeing these things done like in real life, like live action-ish. And then in Spider-Verse, it was the exact opposite. They said, no, we're going to like keep it as though you're like looking at a comic book page, and we're going to let it get abstract and weird, and we're going to do things that can only work in animation. I think that like that's so interesting to me that like this is a Spider-Man movie that wouldn't have worked if it wasn't like a comic book.
Right. I guess we should talk about because this is what everybody's talking about, and like I feel like I'm about to be like a betrayal to my own people. Mm-hmm. I really like this movie. This movie is good, right?
Yeah.
It's not the masterpiece everybody's making it out to be. Like I want to be the one dissenting voice. And with that being said, I love this movie, right? But I've looked on Twitter, right, and it's like oh, this is my favorite superhero movie. This is the best superhero movie ever. And I'm just like, no, it's not. Like it's really good. Like that's the thing, right? I don't want to sound like I'm saying the movie is mediocre or nothing. This movie is fantastic. My son loved it. My wife loved it. I loved it. You could tell it's something special. But this is not like the best superhero movie ever. Like it's really good. And like they do some daring things and like yay for diversity. Like really, yay for diversity. Seriously. And I feel like a lot of people might have some liberal guilt. White liberal guilt, because it's mostly white people I've seen to say, "Oh, this is like I cried. This is my third time seeing it, and I cried." And I'm like, "Really?
When were people crying during this movie?"
I don't know. That's my point. I don't.
When they paid $15 for the tickets, I don't.
Like I've seen a lot of famous people a lot of, like, you know, a lot of people in comic books, a lot of like stars and shit like that say like this is like their favorite, like, you know, comic book movie of all time, and just that's just a general sentiment. And
See,
it's
I feel like none of those people watched any of the like best of the animated comic book stuff that we were getting like 10 to 20 years ago. Like this was a great movie, but it also felt like just watching a 3-part Justice League cartoon.
exactly that's what I'm saying. Like,
And part of it was like, hey, it's really awesome. Like you can take that and just throw more money and more talent on it and play it in a real theater, and that would be great. But yeah, I'm like, dude, yeah, no, I agree with you. I think it was really, really great, but
you see, this is okay, and this
I haven't quite seen the people claiming that they were crying and that it was a masterpiece.
look, I got teary eyed one time, and it's only one time it had, and it has nothing to do with the movie. Well, it does, but it's not because of the movie. When the Stan Lee cameo popped up, I teared up.
Oh,
But that's only because it's Stan Lee, right? Because like
yeah,
cause he just died, right? It's nothing that said
yeah.
the movie did. Like it was just a normal Stan Lee cameo.
I
But
don't know if it was a normal one because it was like sometimes he's just like a grumpy delivery man. This was like he actually said something sort of inspirational, right?
yep, then landed with a joke like, "Hey, you got to pay for that though," or something like that.
Yeah.
But no, but yeah, I was just yeah, like that choked me up a bit. But like no, I'm speaking.
Actually, I think I may have gotten a little emotional when his dad came to visit him at school to tell him that his uncle was dead
Yeah,
and he couldn't talk back. I think I may have felt, my heart may have felt that a little bit.
a little bit.
A
Like
little bit.
it'll just a little but you see, okay, this is my thing, right? Okay, let me ask you a question. Which one did you like better, Aquaman or Into the Spider-Verse? I know they wildly different movies, but which one did you enjoy more?
Interesting. Um, this is really hard. I think I liked them about the same.
See, my son said this, and I agree with him. He liked Aquaman more,
Okay.
slightly more, but this is why it's expectations, right? It's always
Mhm.
expectations. I didn't expect much from Aquaman. Aquaman delivered way more than I could ever hope for, right?
Okay.
This is a good Spider-Man story, right?
Yeah.
But it's just one of a million good Spider-Man stories. Like, I expect Spider-Man to be good. Like you know what I'm saying? I never had any doubt that this movie wasn't going to be anything but good.
That's true.
Because it's just Spider. Look, even bad.
You could have a computer, like you could trade a computer to write a good Spider-Man story just by having it read every Spider-Man story that exists and randomly recombining them.
Yeah, exactly. And like, you know, even like bad Spider-Man stuff or mediocre Spider-Man stuff, it's still kind of good. Like the Amazing Spider-Man movies are bad. A lot of it is bad, but there's great parts in it. You know, the
Hmm.
Sam Raimi movies we love. There's a million animated versions of damn Spider-Man at this point. You know, in
Yeah.
fact, I'm gonna tell you something. This is the 4th version of this story that I've seen in my lifetime, Amanda. They did a multi-universal Spider-Man crossover in the '90s Spider-Man cartoon. They did the Spider-Verse, the actual Spider-Verse thing in the comic, and they did it in Ultimate Spider-Man, the cartoon, with a lot of the same characters. In fact, just like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So I've seen like multi-dimensional different Spider-Man.
This was market tested and guaranteed to.
Yeah, like again, and they had like a dry run like 3 years ago because that one had like Miles and Spider-Gwen in it too, and it was like multi-dimensional and like so like I've seen like not quite this story,
Hmm.
but I've seen similar Spider-Man stories cover this before in animation form and comic book form, and it's just like, it's great, but it's nothing I haven't seen. Like I said, I just expect Spider-Man to be good, and it was. So Aquaman sits a slightly higher for me just for that reason.
Okay.
Now back to this though. I made a joke about it, but really, yay for diversity. Because it's so cool to see like a black kid listen to rap music with his J's on going to school.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's something I can relate to. Maybe not going to the smart school, but listening to music with your Jordans, just jamming out.
Yeah.
That spoke to me in a way that I wasn't expecting it to. Oh, what do you have anything to say about it, Amanda?
I mean, like, obviously, I don't relate to Miles on a personal level,
Well,
but
I
really
know.
like the.
I know, yeah.
He's like literally the opposite of me in almost every single attribute. But I've always really loved the character, and I did just like seeing. I haven't watched animated Spider-Man stuff recently, at least not much of it. So it was really exciting for me to see like a really good version of Miles up and walking around and on like a real movie theater screen, not like a video on demand or a DVD or a, Cartoon Network thing. And to hear like other people being like, oh yeah, like he's really cool. 'Cause I don't know, it's one of those things where, you and I are like, yeah, Ultimate Spider-Man, Miles Morales, this is like old news. But I have a coworker who, all right, now this was kind of annoying because I had to overhear him like explain Ultimate Spider-Man to all of my coworkers, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, dude, one of us used to work at a comic book store and the other one looked at Wikipedia 5 minutes ago. That's fine. But to hear like this guy being like, oh yeah, like Miles Morales, blah blah blah, like he's really cool, and I'm gonna like find the comics for my kids, and I was like, yes, that's great, that's awesome, that's what we're supposed to do. So I may have like slipped the card for the comic book store that I go to like on his desk anonymously, but I let him just talk out his ass about it for a little bit. So yeah, like I
See, this is what I liked about it, and like this is a thing that I've had a problem with since I was a kid. Like as far as like the portrayal of black characters, is that when they have black characters,
mm-hmm.
they always have to be like, I've always said this, right? Black guys in general can never be the lovable loser. If you ever notice like the portrayal of like black people versus white people in movies, like, black people can never be the lovable losers in movies, right? They can never be like awkward. They can never be like nerdy, and if they are, it's like it's like
It's
taking,
like funny like Urkel, right?
yeah, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just can't be like, just as a person, I just can't be that. I can't be like that slubby white guy that I can't be Paul Rudd. For shorthand, I can't be Paul Rudd, right? I've always
Right.
have to have an amount of cool to me. Like, no matter what, it's stressful, but that's just how it is, right? And the reason that is because in media they always portray us as cool. No matter what, we're always the voice of reason, even though we die a lot or die first.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? We always a little bit smoother. And when we're not, we're complete buffoons. There's no in the middle, right?
Mm-hmm.
Miles is just a kid. He's not really street. He's kind of awkward, but he's just he just a kid that just happens to be black, right? There's nothing like, you know what I'm saying, like distinctly black about him per se. Besides like him being black and him listening like to what he listens to, right? But there's like, he don't walk with like a limp. And like a pimp lip, you know what I'm saying? He don't use slang a lot, you know what I'm saying? He's not like, he's just a kid, and sometimes he's awkward, and I fucking love that, you know what I'm saying? He's just a normal kid.
Like, he's not trying to represent an entire race.
Yeah.
Every single scene.
And, like, white people was talking about me, like, and, like, I've seen these two white people like, oh, you see how he code switch between how he talked at home and how he talked at school? I'm like, what the fuck is y'all talking about? I didn't see none of that. Like, it's like these people learn these new words, right? Like, well, and I asked someone to explain that to me, and they're like, well, you know, how he talk at home is different to how he talk at school. Well, yeah, that's normal. Like, you know, there's again,
well, except white people don't do that. White people don't do that. The way we talk at school is exactly the way we talk at home.
What, yelling at your parents? No, that was a joke. That was a terrible.
But no, I mean, I think if you talk about this movie and you're bringing that up as like an interesting fact about it or detail, I feel like you're pretending you like this movie for liberal guilt and not because you actually like this movie.
Well, like, this is the thing, right? I'm sensitive to these things, and usually I would notice that, and I didn't because I don't think they was trying to do that. Again, I just think he was normal, and like that's what I appreciate about their portrayal of blackness is that he's normal. He's not black. He's just a normal kid that happens to be black. His dad is a cop who happens to be black, and again, I was raised by a cop. So I can relate to that. My grandfather was a cop. My grandparents raised me, not my parents. I relate a lot to being raised by a cop. And also, you know, having that uncle that you love that might be a criminal but you still love, that spoke to me. Like, that really did. Like I understand that. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And, like, your parents kind of be like, yeah, that's your uncle. He cool, but maybe you shouldn't be around him as much as you are. Like you know, his uncle is like the type of uncle that'll let you curse. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't curse in front of your parents, but like your uncle don't care. Like, yeah, you can curse like that. And like, I really liked all that. I think all that was cool. I think also I think Spider-Gwen, that might be my favorite Spider-Man suit design ever.
Yeah.
Like, the more I look at that, I was like, you know what, that suit is kind of beautiful. I mean, I don't know how else I have to put it. That's a beautiful ass Spider-Man suit.
Do we know who designed it? Because my husband said the same. He said the same thing, and he was like, "That character is 300% the suit."
Yeah.
I'm gonna look up real quick because sometimes because like I'm feeling like Miss Marvel is also like, or I guess the Miss Marvel, the Captain Marvel transformation was like 100%, 300% the costume. Did you find it?
Yeah, Robbie Rodriguez is the artist. Jason Lotor. It says created by Jason Lotor, which I'm assuming is the writer. Yeah, Jason Lotor is the writer, and Robbie Rodriguez is the artist.
Okay.
So there you go. But yeah, she's 300% that suit. Cause Spider-Gwen as a character, well, she's a little more interesting now. But again, you know, it was part of like that like thing where like she was in Spiderverse. She had like one comic dedicated to her because you know offshoots and shit. But that suit caught on with cosplayers, so they decided to make her a real ongoing character ever since.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny that you brought up cosplayers because I had thought about saying this when you were comparing the DC and Marvel costumes. I feel like the Marvel movies, when they design the costumes, they sort of sit there and they go, let's make sure this is something that someone could cosplay. And I feel like they almost keep that in mind. Like all of these costumes have to be like aspirational for real people.
Yeah.
And the DC ones, they're like, no. Like we want to make sure that if you run into somebody at a convention, you can tell that they're not the actor.
I never thought of that.
Well, it's just a great way of putting describing the gods and mortals difference in the DC and the Marvel universe is Marvel's like, let's make sure real people can wear these costumes, and DC is like, what?
Because there's one thing, right? The suits, like even like the Batman suit, like that Frank Miller inspired, like Dark Knight Returns, like Batman suit, you can't do that in real life.
Yeah.
That was overly complicated.
Okay, well, that was I was just really interested to contrast those two, because I feel like Spider-Verse and Aquaman are just like in 1 month, in like 1 week even, I got like the complete opposite. I just got like the most Marvel movie ever and like the most DC movie ever in one shot, and it made me feel like I really kind of understood their philosophical differences.
And you know what? This is actually an argument of like Disney not owning everything.
Mm-hmm.
Because Disney never would have made this movie. They never would have made this movie.
Yeah.
You know, Sony made this movie. So we got Logan a couple of years ago, and like we got Deadpool recently. Disney never would have made those movies. So I'm happy. Like this is an argument for them not owning all these characters.
Yeah.
So I just want to put that out there as we're about to go into this new year, and apparently the deal will be finalized mid-January, apparently, for like the X-Men and Fantastic Four to be back into the fold. But yeah, it's good. It's good to have variety, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And like the fact that like Disney wants to be diverse, but I always feel like they're scared. Like Sony said, "Fuck it, Black Spider-Man, let's do it. Why not?"
Yeah.
Did you like any of the other characters, like any of the other Spider-Man or women?
So I really loved like schlubby millennial Peter B. Parker.
Which is, by the way, is the real Peter Parker, come to find out.
Okay. Yeah, I really liked him. I loved, like, oh yeah, like I was hanging out at home, working out, and like, the beer belly and the donuts and the
Again, something I can definitely relate to.
Yeah, no, I just kind of loved that we got, because I do feel like most of the depictions of Peter Parker, they have trouble balancing like he's like super smart and like good at everything versus him being like awkward and relatable. And so the brilliance of the Spider-Verse movie is they just split those. They had like perfect, handsome, successful Peter, and then they just had like
Chris Pine, by the way.
I noticed. And then they had like schlubby, awkward, funny Peter Parker. And they just split them so that you could enjoy both and not have to worry about the balance.
And again, that's real. Like everybody was like, "Oh, the real Spider-Man not in this movie." No, Slubby Peter Parker is from the 616 universe. That is the real Spider-Man. Shit didn't go well, apparently. But no, my favorite, and he only had about 10 lines, is Spider-Man Noir.
Yeah, that was great.
Every line out his mouth. I should roll him down, but like Nicolas Cage doing that old timey 30s talk.
Yeah,
was perfect, and I loved it every time he said something. Like just every word was like great. And like, did you notice that every Spider-Man was in a different type of animation?
Oh yeah, that was amazing, and that's kind of what I was talking about earlier. Was like, that is such a comic booky thing to draw each character differently to show that they're from different universes, and that would not have worked if this was like a live action movie.
They had Spider-Ham, for Christ's sakes.
Yeah.
They had anime Spider-Man or Spider-Woman or whatever.
Yeah.
It was, oh man, it was all good. Also, I love Aunt May in this.
Yeah.
And I love that, like, she's still Aunt May, even though to Peter that's not his Aunt May, but it's still Aunt May. He was like, "Hey, Aunt May." Like, he just knew her.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that's adorable. Like, it's still Aunt May no matter what. Like, it wasn't like May or hello, different Aunt May. It was
Yeah.
still just Aunt May.
And that was Lily Tomlin doing the voice, right?
Really?
She was
Yes.
perfect.
She was. And I love that she was like, oh, more Spider people, come on. Just pile on in.
Yeah, she was like, of course.
Like, my nephew and his crazy adventures. Is there anything else? Did you like the villains? Like Octavia? What was her name? Octavia?
Oh, Olivia.
Olivia. That was a good reveal, by the way. That was a
Yeah,
really good
that was
reveal.
great. You know,
And the look on Peter's face, like
yeah.
Olivia Octavia. As soon as he said Octavia, he was like, "Oh shit!" And
Yeah.
then the arm spouted out. Like,
Yeah, that was a great moment. You know, I did really love this Kingpin.
he was a really good Kingpin. The art is inspired by Bill Sienkiewicz portrayal of Kingpin,
Yeah.
which is like this small head and like this massive body, like just floating in this mass of.
Mhm. Yeah, and I love that he was motivated by like trying to get his family back. Which is surprisingly sweet for what Kingpin is normally about.
Well, that's true, but he's always had like a soft
Yeah.
spot for Vanessa. Like Vanessa has always been like a thing for him.
Yeah.
So that tracks.
Yeah. No, I think it was at least as good as every single Justice League cartoon.
Also, did you see how like Sony themselves like, okay, we don't talk about Amazing Spider-Man, but please throw in as many references to the Raimi Spider-Mans as you want, because those are the movies we liked. Those movies we didn't mess up on. So many references as you want for those.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was good. So yeah, so this was a good month for superheroes.
Mm-hmm.
December, who would have thought?
Wasn't expecting it.
Yep, and now we all going to see Bumblebee and see if that's
See if it's a good month for Transformers too.
oh boy, here we go. Apparently it's really good.
Yeah, that's what I heard. It was really good.
I hope so. I love Transformers. One day we're going to read a Transformer comic for this show. I just don't know which one yet.
Sounds great. I've heard they're really good.
They are. It's just a lot of them now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So Amanda.
Yes.
I know we've been talking about comic book stuff, and we do have a thing to review this week, Battlepug. But I have to talk to you about this, and this may go long. But we're gonna give ourselves 10 minutes. We're gonna give ourselves 10 minutes.
I got you on the clock.
Amanda, we have to talk about Dragon Ball. And particularly, we have to talk about Dragon Ball Super.
What makes it super?
It's basically just Dragon Ball Z,
Mm-hmm.
but it's really good. And Amanda,
It's like our favorite thing in the universe, but good. Okay, keep going.
no, look, it still has a lot of the problems, but they do a better job now. And like they've actually did some things that we've been complaining about, especially me. Like can I spoil it a bit for you if you don't mind?
Go ahead.
Okay, so look. There was 2 Dragon Ball movies, to bring it back. Resurrection F and Battle of the Gods, right? That was kind of like the comeback before they made Super, which is the new show. So what they did for the show was they took those first 2 movies and stretched them out both over 13 episode arcs. Like every arc in the show are 13 episodes, right? So the first 2 arcs are just longer versions of those movies, right?
Okay.
So like the first one, they introduced this character named Beerus, which is the god of destruction, right? And I'm going to tell you, the first 13 episodes, I wasn't for sure about this, to be honest. Because what I realize is I don't like Beerus as a character. And I think it has to do with my understanding of deities. Like my American understanding of like God, right?
Mm-hmm.
So within this version, right, Beerus with his Fey manservant, that's the best way I could put it, he's Fey. He's a really Fey manservant. He's really I don't want to say gay, that's the wrong word, but you know, he's that type that
Okay.
that stereotype about manservants. But like, and like his thing is he wants to fight and destroy planets, right? He goes to Bulma's birthday party and everybody's terrified of him. He got Vegeta cooking for him and like scrubbing the deck and shit and just terrified. And that bothered the shit out of me.
Yeah, Vegeta shouldn't be, he shouldn't care if it's a god, right?
Well, that, like, everybody was scared. Gohan, like they was, like, scared. Like, I've never seen them like this. Like, I've seen them scared in battle, but not like this, as in, oh, God, please don't kill us. And I realized what the problem is. Because eventually Beerus becomes an ally and kind of a good guy. But I realized what the problem is, right? Japanese relations to, like, deities is different from America's, especially on how they portray in, like, movies, right? Like, in movies and shit, God is all powerful. Like our God in movies, when we portray the traditional Christian God, for the most part, right, even though he's all powerful, he's also kind of, you know, magnanimous and kind and gentle.
Right.
Because he knows he can wreck your shit anytime he wants to. And since he's so powerful, he doesn't have to be kind of petty. Even though the God in the Bible is petty, he tends not to, like God, as portrayed in the movies, tend not to be. They usually like a George Byrne or Morgan Freeman type, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is not like that. Beerus is petty and prone to anger, and he wants everybody to do shit for him. And it just really threw me the fuck off.
Okay, that's interesting.
Now,
So, because, I mean, like, we see that, like, all of Greek mythology is like that.
Yeah, it is. But, like, that. But they're usually portrayed as assholes, and like he is too. But it's supposed to be funny.
Okay.
All this, like at one point he battles what's the pig name? What's the pig name?
Oolong.
Oolong. Thank you. He challenges Oolong for the fate of the universe in a rock paper scissors contest.
Wow.
And
did Oolong win?
No.
I guess but the universe is still here. I guess he did win.
Well, no. Goku came and
okay.
ultimate power, ultimate power, blah blah blah.
Okay.
Super Saiyan God, you know, that old hat, right? But anyway, with that being said, it got kind of good towards the end. Now the second arc brings back Frieza, and man, that shit good. Oh, that shit was so damn good. So they finally did the thing, Amanda, that I've been talking about, as in you have all these characters standing around and they can't beat shit.
Mm-hmm.
And like, you know, they can't beat shit. They're always getting beat up. They're fucking useless. Like, you know, they can't even beat like regular henchmen, right?
Yeah.
So Frieza get resurrected, right? He comes with like 2,000 dudes. And them 2,000 dudes get they shit wrecked by the Z fighters.
Yay! Does Yamcha get to actually do something?
No, not Yamcha. Yamcha's not even there. No, sorry.
Oh.
So look, peep this, right? Goku and Vegeta's off training with Beerus and Whis. Of course they are, across the universe.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't know about this. So like the last line of defense, I shit you not, is Gohan, who hasn't trained in years at this point. So he's nowhere near as powerful as he used to be. Piccolo, Tien, Krillin, and Master fucking Roshi.
Yeah.
And like they was all laughing, and all them wrecked, and all those motherfuckers wrecked they shit. Krillin was terrified. In fact, Frieza put a hit out on Krillin because Krillin was so scared, right? Because Krillin retired too. So like they tried to gang up on Krillin, and dude tried to hit Krillin, and Krillin moved out the way. And Master Roshi, you're like, yeah, motherfucker. You've been fighting for like 20 years. Of course you're more powerful than them. Then Krillin started wrecking they shit, Amanda. And it was the best thing ever. It was great. And then came the two main bad guys, which is Frieza and his second in command, who is also really powerful, right?
Mm-hmm.
So look, I'm gonna leave all this in. I know everybody probably gonna turn off the podcast at this point. Too late, you already downloaded it. Aha. But so this is what they did, right? The most powerful person there is Gohan, but Gohan can't fight Frieza, right? Like Gohan can't defeat Frieza, but he can beat the second in command, and that's exactly what he does before losing to Frieza. They did what they was always fucking supposed to do if you were gonna have this many characters. You have to give them someone to fight and for them to look good. No one expect them to beat like the big bad, right?
Right. Yeah.
But you have to give them like.
They weren't supposed to be standing there waiting for Goku to show up. They were supposed to be doing stuff.
Yes.
Until Goku showed up.
Exactly, and that's exactly what they did. And man, when they showed up, oh, it was great. Vegeta got his moment to shine because he beat the shit out of Frieza at the end. Like Frieza just laughing and shit, and Vegeta, because Vegeta has even a more of a vendetta against
of course
Frieza
he does.
than Goku does. So it was just great to see like Vegeta just wreck Frieza's shit.
Great.
Now,
okay, I'm pretty sold on this just from knowing that they fixed like the biggest complaints.
Now, but on to some bad though.
Okay.
And this is related to comic books. Look, you've read a lot of comic books, right?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Okay. So you know, there's always retcons in comic books, right?
Yes.
As I like to call it continuous retcons, as in they don't restart shit, right? They just, when they think something doesn't need to be there anymore, they just retcon it, but the story keeps continuing.
Yep.
That's what Dragon Ball Z does now, apparently. They just retcon shit. Because apparently Vegeta knew Beerus as a child. Like, well, that's not a thing that's been known. And apparently Beerus told Frieza to destroy planet Vegeta.
Oh, well, we all know that that's not how it happened in the Bardock movie or whatever.
That's not how it happened at all, and I have a big problem with that. And like I was arguing with my other Dragon Ball Z friends, Jack and Kyle, right? Where there was like, so here's the thing, right? They was flipping about it, like, oh, Jamal, you just being too harsh. I'm like, no, that changes that relationship, because I'm all about story. Like, I'm really all about story, right? Mm-hmm. It took this deeply personal story between these three men, Vegeta, Goku, and Frieza, and made it something else.
Yeah.
Like, now it's this other thing, right? Like, you know, now Frieza, motivations aren't completely because he's just an evil, petty man that was scared of the Saiyans. He actually had walking orders. And, like, they was like, he would have did it anyway. That's not the point. It's the fact that he had walking orders all of us, that he had like walking orders to go do it, and like, well, he did it for his own reasons. It doesn't matter. Like, it changes this thing that's like this deeply, like, and it bothers me. Like, it don't bother me enough not to watch because it's good. Like, it's really
obviously
good.
You kept watching.
So now, you know, they have the Broly movie coming out, right? And I'm not saying anything that's not in the trailer, okay? Mm-hmm. He changed the Saiyans, Amanda. Toriyama changed the Saiyans. Goku is full on Superman now. As in, he had loving parents that sent him away in a ship to save him from the planet blowing up.
Oh. That's like, that undoes like all of Dragon Ball.
I was like, the thing about the Saiyans, right? And the thing that made Goku special was the fact that the reason he could go Super Saiyan was, even though he was a Saiyan, he was raised by humans, so he had that compassion that the Saiyans never really had. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Because, there was a bloodthirsty race.
Yeah.
That would make Goku special. That would make him turn into Super Saiyan. That would make him turn Super Saiyan because he could tap into emotion that wasn't like bloodlust.
Yeah, when we talked about that was even my theory about Vegeta, was that like Vegeta had to learn like some degree of compassion from humans in order to become Super Saiyan.
Yeah, and just emotion in general. Like he cried. Like he had to cry and give up and just like, you know what I'm saying? He had to have an emotion besides rage, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what made Goku special. And that what made Gohan special. That what made Vegeta special. You know what I'm saying? And they've changed that. Like now they're loving parents, and it's just like I haven't seen the movie. It comes out here in a couple of weeks in English because I don't do that Japanese shit. So, but that's kind of frustrating, man, because it changes everything, right? Like it does. And by the way, Jack and Kyle didn't have a problem with them changing Frieza motivations, but Jack had a real problem about them changing that. Like, see,
yeah.
So yeah, that's Dragon Ball Z Super. You should really watch it. I think you'll like it, and if you watch it and catch up, we can have a whole nother episode about it.
All right.
That was way over 10 minutes. You just let me talk.
It was closer to 15, and I could feel you naturally coming to a conclusion. So, and I didn't want to. You were just getting to the interesting part because, like, I love how you are so invested in the story, and you were just getting to the part where you were talking about like the crucial story elements rather than just like, yeah, it's really cool because they have bad guys and they kick their butts. Like, so I didn't want to interrupt the good part.
Like, I'm really all about story, and we know the story in Dragon Ball Z can be bad. So the stuff that's really good and what's really special, I latch on to, right? You know what I'm saying? So when you change that, it kind of like, I don't know, but it's good. It's good. You should watch it. I recommend it.
Great. So we recommend Aquaman, we recommend Spiderverse, we recommend Dragon Ball Super. You gonna recommend Battlepug too?
As we was talking, I just bought Volume 2.
Okay.
Today we are talking about Battlepug, Volume 1, written and drawn by Mike Norton. It is a internet comic. It is the epic tale of Blood and Drool join Molly and her dogs Mingo and Kofats as she recounts the legend of the warrior and the Battlepug, the tale of a fearless barbarian and his trusty and freakishly large pug and evil baby harp seals. That's the synopsis they have on Amazon for this volume.
And it's funny because that doesn't make sense, but also that is exactly what happens. So that's all there is. Okay, so I had a few questions about this for you, Jamill.
Okay, I'm listening.
Okay, first, I think we've mentioned before in passing, are you a fan of any like newspaper comic strips? Like, did you read the comics in the newspaper growing up?
When yes, mostly only on Sundays. When my grandpa would get the Sunday paper, I would go straight to the newspaper comics. And during the week, the only comic I would read was the Boondocks. Was the daily Boondocks on comic strip during the week. But on Sundays I'll read, because on Sundays that's when they had like this giant own section that was all in color. Mm-hmm. That's when I would read most of my comic strips when I was a kid.
Okay. I just think it's interesting because when we talk about comics, we almost always mean like longer form sequential storytelling. Like we usually mean something that's like at least 20 pages at a time.
Right. And
newspaper comic strips are like one sentence at a time. And you can't do like a lot in one sentence.
Right.
And I feel like that, I feel like webcomics are actually closer to comic or newspaper comic strips than they are to the comic books that we read.
Yes, they are.
And I was wondering if that was, I was just wondering if that was part of why, like, you haven't read a lot of webcomics or why you don't like them that much. It is a little bit frustrating to get, like, one sentence at a time when you're used to getting at least a paragraph.
Well, no. I mean,
Okay.
maybe, but no. Look, this is going to sound real snobbish, right?
Mm-hmm.
So please forgive me. But I feel like if you do a webcomic,
Mm-hmm.
and of course, this is me speaking from ignorance. I know better now, right? Talking
Yeah.
to you, right? But I feel like if you write a webcomic, it was amateur hour, and I don't
Mm-hmm.
read no amateur shit. Because, like, every webcomic I've ever came across wasn't very good, and it wasn't often, right? But, like, every time I came across one, it wasn't very good writing, or, like, it wasn't drawn particularly well. So, like, for me, it was just like, I'm not spending my time on this. Like, I have very few hours, very few precious hours in a day.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, it's just, I wasn't going to spend it reading, like, something somebody wrote in their basement, so to speak. Does that make any
Okay.
sense?
So, well, no, it definitely makes sense that, like, the average quality of stuff that gets physically printed out and shipped around the country is going to be higher than what you can just find on the internet because there's been, like, a vetting process. But I find that, like, I kind of forget about things like, have you ever read dinosaur comics?
No.
Okay, that's, like, I always forget that that counts as a webcomic. It was a Ryan North's thing before he started writing for, like, Marvel and Boom and stuff like that. And it's literally the pictures are the same every day, and all he did is switch out the text.
Okay.
And that's, like, the conceit. There's also, like, I read Our Valued Customers, which are single block, like one picture and just a funny saying. And I'm like, that is so much more like The Far Side than it is like any comic book. And, like, I think that's why my brain doesn't even, like, count these in webcomics. So I feel like there's a spectrum of what gets counted as webcomics. There's things that are more like the newspaper comic strips, and then there are things where it's like, this is a comic book that this is like a 20-page comic book that somebody just put up online because they couldn't get it published. And I feel like what I asked us to read, Battlepug, is sort of in the middle there because it reads really well when you have, like, all of the pages together. But each individual page also has, like it's a sentence in the story. So I found that it's like a very interesting point along that spectrum between being like a one shot and being like an ongoing story. And I feel like that format is really well suited to what the premise of Battlepug is, which is like you're telling like a child a story.
Right.
And when you tell a fairy tale, it's like, very, very specific, like, Hansel and Gretel lived in a house. Next page. Like, that's like how, and then they put on their coats and hat and got their breadcrumbs, like next page. Like, so I feel like this is a very interesting, I think it's a good match between story and medium. But I just talked at you for several minutes.
I
Do
do
you
it all
have
the time to
any,
you. Don't feel bad.
do you have any thoughts on how much story you get at once when you're looking at Battlepug?
Well, okay, so this is the thing, right? I try to read it for free on and again, now I've like, since we read regular comic books, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've trained my mind for a break.
Yeah.
So I try to read for free on the website, right?
Yeah.
But there's no end. It just keeps going. So like I didn't know where to stop. So after about 20 pages, like no, I can't do this. Like so I went to Comixology and just bought it where they have it broke up into 5 volumes because I couldn't I don't know where.
Well, no. There on the webpage there are title cards in between the volumes.
Really? I
Yeah.
didn't see one. I did not see one.
I think it just, and I was actually surprised because it did feel much longer than like a normal comic book volume.
Is it between the issues or just between the volumes?
It's only between the volumes because
exactly. I got to page 25, and
yeah.
there was no like issue 2, and I was just like, no.
Well, because that's the thing. Each page came out once a week.
Really?
Yes.
Oh.
So so people were not reading one volume at a time. They were reading literally one page. And then you had to wait a whole week to find out what happened on the next page.
Christ.
Isn't that crazy?
Yes. I don't know if I could. Look, I can't do monthly. I don't know if I could. I can do monthly with 22 pages. I don't know if I can do 1 page a week.
Yeah, so it's just like our show. It was 52 pages for each volume.
Whew.
Yeah. And it's very interesting to hear. I went and looked up some interviews with Mike Norton talking about like the creative process, and he did really vague outlines, but was mostly just like, like once a week would sit down and like, update where he thought the story was going to go and draw out that page, and then it went up. Yeah, it's a very different experience of getting the story. And I think if it hadn't been this sort of like fairy tale, and if each page has sort of like it's a complete sentence, there are very few like leaving off in the middle of a thought.
Right.
And organizing it like that, I think, is just very skillful. Like, I don't know if you took someone who is accustomed to the 20-page storytelling method and forced them to say, no, like, each page has to be like a complete, I keep saying sentence, but like a complete, like a visual sentence or a complete thought. Like, that's really difficult to do. To stretch things to always fit that size or compress things to fit. I think that's what impressed me most. But anyways, I'm talking a lot about like the format here just because and it's so unusual compared to what we normally read. But
it's
like
super important. That is super important.
But like, how did you like the story?
I mean, I like
we know you like tiny dogs, so
I like Whimsical Conan. It's very good.
Okay.
Because this is what this is. This is like Conan minus like the sets and blood so far.
Mm-hmm.
Cause
yeah, it is sort of a G-rated.
I mean, no, it's straight up Conan. Not only is it Conan, it's not even Conan the comic book. It's Conan the movie. Because that's exactly what this is. This is exactly that, right? It's about a little boy who villains get destroyed by this evil band of marauders, who then get found and sold into slavery and becomes a great warrior, then gets free and goes on a revenge mission. That's the first Conan movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Did you like the whimsical details though?
Yo! When Santa Claus popped up, I was like, whoa, what are we doing?
I love that Santa Claus gag because it's such like it's purely like a visual joke, because the frame story where it's this woman Molly telling a bedtime story to her puppies. she says the northern elves and like the evil king of the northern realms. She doesn't say Santa.
She never.
So Santa is like what the dogs are imagining.
Oh, I never thought about it like that. Cause like I'm gonna tell you something, I knew they were Santa elves from the way they dressed before they even showed Santa Claus.
Right.
I was like, oh, those dress like Santa elves, like how they normally are depicted. I was like, the king couldn't be no, and it was Santa Claus.
Right, but the words she was using, they could have been like Lord of the Rings elves.
Right, and all the animals, like the seal that comes destroy the village. Like, okay, so this is what I thought at first, right?
Mm-hmm.
I thought the seal was normal size. I'm like, is this a story about tiny people? Like, is this we're gonna find out that that the seal is regular size and these people are small? Because the seal that comes destroy the village looks happy. Like,
yeah. Well, it could be. I mean, if you were the size of a pug, a normal sized adult seal is probably a giant. Maybe the dogs are just imagining that all of the people are dog sized.
Maybe.
Go ahead.
No, it's just I'm still not for sure where this is going to lead. Like, I've just read, like, I guess the first 77 pages and it ends on a cliffhanger. But I'm real interested to see where this goes because it's a real quick read.
Yeah.
And I think that goes back to the nature of the format, that why it's a real quick read.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm really happy that you gave this a chance. It's like I said, it's a webcomic, which can be a harder sell, and it's impossible to describe it without sounding crazy.
Right.
So no, I don't. I mean, aside from my rant about how I'm so impressed with the format, and also it helps that the art is like literally professional level, and that Mike Norton brought in a professional colorist and letterer that he knows to help do the rest of the work. That really comes through. Like, this is clearly like a different caliber of webcomic compared to, like, I don't know, like what that guy I know from the comic book store throws up on his live journal or whatever.
Is live journal still around?
I don't know. We make fun of Tumblr enough. I wanted to make fun of someone else for a change.
Hey, look, I went to Tumblr, right?
Yeah.
No more
and
titties.
You're still alive.
Yeah, no more titties.
No more titties.
They finally pulled the trigger.
Speaking of titties, can we talk about how the main character who's telling the Battlepug story is giving me serious Deja Thoris vibes? It's just a surprisingly well thought out pastiche of a bunch of stuff and a really fun, quick read.
Yeah, so I think I would recommend this. I think I would say give it a chance. Just stick with it. Like, again, it's really good. It's a really quick read. You can blast through the 77 pages, the first volume, in like maybe 30 minutes. We should talk about some of the things that actually happens in the story.
I mean, like, I don't know. I think, like, I think that, I think describing the absurdity of the story doesn't really, it doesn't sell it. Like, we already talked, like, Santa shows up, a giant seal shows up.
There's a giant
obviously
happy pug.
A giant happy pug. Yeah, I don't know if describing the absurdity really helps sell it. At least not in the way that, like, describing the details of a Dragon Ball Z story do.
Okay, so I'm assuming you liked it too, right?
So, oh yeah, absolutely.
You liked it. I liked it. we definitely recommend that you read this. You can either read it on the website, which is, Amanda, what's the website? Because I don't have that up.
It's just battlepug.com.
Battlepug.com, or you can buy it from Comixology for $7.99 a volume.
Yes, and Dark Horse, I believe, printed physical copies of these.
Yes, they did.
And the books that they put them in are like the largest books that Dark Horse ever had to print, because the volumes are so long and each page is so big.
All right.
There's a little trivia for you from an interview I read somewhere.
All right, so Amanda, as we close in on this show, do you know what we're reading next week?
Yeah, I have a little note here. We are looking at I Kill Giants and Self-Made.
Yes, we are.
Well, then my notes are right.
So I made friends with Matt Groom, who runs a Power Ranger podcast, but now writes his own comic for Image called Self-Made. By the time you listen to this, the first 2 issues should be out. So we're gonna interview him about his comic, and he suggested that we read I Kill Giants. So that's what we're doing next week. Then after that, we have another show, because I'm terrible at scheduling, so you about to get a lot of content. So Amanda, what can they reach us?
We are on Twitter as Comic Book Club 52, and you can email us comicbookclub52@gmail.com. Okay. And we're also the Comic Book Club on Facebook.
Alrighty then. So that's it for this show. I am Jamill Payne.
I'm Amanda Comey.
We are out.